The starlight flickered across Lieutenant Talia Knox's visor as she adjusted the external sensors on Helios Station. Suspended in the void near the asteroid belt, humanity's furthest permanent research outpost represented 15 years of interstellar peace since Earth had joined the galactic community. Talia found a certain poetry in her position, hanging between worlds, serving as both scientist and diplomat, deciphering the languages of alien biology and communication. Sensor alignment complete, control, she reported, her breath creating small clouds inside her helmet. Xenobiology samples from the Centauri expedition are registering nominal decay rates. The containment fields are solid. Copy that, Lieutenant, responded the calm voice of Station Director Ramirez. You've got 10 minutes of oxygen left. Wrap it up and come home. Home! The word brought a faint smile to Talia's face. Helios was hardly luxurious with its cramped quarters and recycled everything. But after 3 years as the station's xenobiology and interspecies communication specialist, the metal shell floating in space had indeed become home. She was securing her tether when the proximity alarms screamed to life in her helmet. Control? Are we expecting visitors? Talia spun, scanning the darkness. The void answered with 3 ships materializing seemingly from nowhere, their hulls pulsing with organic-looking patterns she'd never seen before. Not Arcturian, not Centaurian, not any species Earth had diplomatic relations with. Unidentified vessels on approach vector. Ramirez's voice had shed its calm. Lieutenant Knox, get inside now. The first blast hit before Talia could react, severing her tether and sending her tumbling backward. Helios Station erupted in silent explosions, debris and bodies spilling into space. The second blast caught the station's core. Through her tumbling disorientation, Talia watched her home, her colleagues, 23 of Earth's brightest minds, disintegrate in fire and frozen vapor. Her oxygen alarm blared. 2 minutes remaining. As darkness crept into the edges of her vision, Talia activated her emergency beacon and the data uplink, frantically dumping everything her suit sensors had recorded about the attackers to Earth's deep space network. The alien vessels moved with precision, methodically destroying the remnants of the station, seemingly unaware of her drifting form. With the last of her consciousness, Talia noted something extraordinary about the ships. They were metal constructs. They were biological, living technology. Her trained eye caught cellular patterns, evidence of engineered evolution rather than mechanical engineering. They're alive, she whispered into her recorder as her vision tunneled. The ships are alive. Her final transmission beamed across the solar system just as a rescue pod from the Mars colony locked onto her beacon. Earth was about to learn it wasn't alone among the stars, and not all that lived beyond valued peace. Talia awoke in a recovery chamber at the Olympus Mons medical facility, her body floating in regenerative gel. Beyond the transparent walls of her tank stood General Marcus Dre, Earth Defense Force, his decorated uniform and rigid posture projecting authority into the sterile room. Lieutenant Knox, he began the moment her eyes focused. I regret to inform you that you are the sole survivor of the Helios incident. Incident? Talia's voice croaked through the intercom. It was an attack, General. Unprovoked. 23 people murdered. I recorded everything. Dre's face remained impassive. The official position of the Earth Unified Council is that Helios suffered a catastrophic containment failure. Your transmission was corrupted during transmission. We have no evidence of hostile action. Talia pushed herself up in the gel, heart monitor beeping in protest. That's a lie. I saw 3 ships, organic technology unlike anything in our records. I uploaded sensor data, visual confirmation. Lieutenant Dre cut her off. We cannot risk interstellar panic based on potentially hallucinated observations from an oxygen-deprived officer. The Council has ordered a full investigation, but until then, this matter is classified. You will speak of this to no one. People died, General. My friends died. Talia pressed her palm against the chamber wall. And whoever killed them is still out there. That's precisely why you will maintain silence. Dre leaned closer. Lieutenant, your military service record is exemplary. Your contributions to xenobiology are significant. Don't throw away your career on wild accusations that would destabilize 15 years of interstellar diplomacy. After Dre left, Talia floated in the healing gel, rage and grief competing for dominance in her chest. She closed her eyes, seeing again the strange organic vessels, methodically eliminating all traces of human presence. The precision, the indifference. This wasn't random. This was calculated, and she was being ordered to pretend it never happened. 2 weeks later, Talia was discharged and reassigned to Earth's Xenobiology Institute in Geneva. Her security clearance was downgraded. Her research limited to archived specimens. She went through the motions, analyzing, documenting, while something inside her withered with each patronizing smile from colleagues who had heard rumors of her traumatic break at Helios. Then Europa Station went dark. 42 researchers. No survivors, no debris. An equipment malfunction, according to official channels. 3 days later, the mining colony on Ceres disappeared. 116 lives erased. Structural collapse, claimed the bulletins. Talia watched the sanitized news reports and knew. The same enemy that had destroyed Helios was systematically eliminating human presence beyond Earth's atmosphere. And Earth's leadership was hiding the truth. That night, she broke protocol and accessed the secure archives, searching for the Helios transmission. Her credentials shouldn't have granted her access, but the file opened. Someone had made sure she could find it. The video played, exactly as she remembered. 3 bioorganic ships. Precise destruction. The file contained a decoded transmission intercepted after the attack. Untranslatable, but clearly the attackers communicating. A message appeared on her screen. Asterisk. Not everyone believes the official story. Find me. S***. Talia hesitated only a moment before responding. Asterisk, who is S? Asterisk. Asterisk, someone who lost people on Europa. Someone who has access. Someone who thinks you saw something real. Asterisk. Celine Tran had been Talia's academy roommate years earlier, before diverging career paths had sent them to different corners of the solar system. Now chief engineer for the Europa Project's orbital support team, Celine had been on Earth during the malfunction that claimed her colleagues. Like Talia, she didn't believe the official story. Their reunion in a quiet corner of Geneva's botanical gardens was brief and careful. I've been analyzing the communication signals from both incidents, Celine whispered, pretending to examine a rare orchid. They're using some form of bioneural transmission. Not radio, not quantum, something organic that piggybacks on background radiation. It's why our early warning systems never detected them. Biological technology, Talia nodded. The ships themselves appeared to be grown, not built. We're calling them Xerophon, Celine said. It means distant death in ancient Greek. Seemed appropriate. Celine's eyes darted around before returning to Talia's. There are others. People with access, with skills, with questions. People who think humanity deserves to know we're under attack. She slipped a small data chip into Talia's hand. We need your expertise in xenobiology. This contains recovered tissue samples from what might be Xerophon technology. A piece of debris from Europa that wasn't completely vaporized. This is treason, Talia whispered, but her fingers closed around the chip. Is it treason to defend humanity when our leaders won't? Celine countered. They're coming, Talia. Not to talk, not to trade. To eliminate. And our government is too afraid of causing panic to even admit it. That night, in a makeshift lab in her apartment bathroom, Talia analyzed the sample. The results confirmed her worst fears and ignited scientific fascination. The Xerophon technology wasn't just biological. It was a completely new form of engineered life. A neural network that could function as both computer and structural material, capable of reorganizing itself for different functions. It made Earth's most advanced biotech look primitive by comparison. More concerning was the evidence of external control. The cellular structures showed signs of receiving and processing commands from a centralized intelligence. This wasn't a species building ships. This was a species growing vessels as extensions of a hive mind. As Talia documented her findings, an alert flashed on her tablet. Another attack, this time on the Mars colony's northern outpost. 18 dead. The official report cited life support failure. Her secure channel pinged with a message from Celine. Asterisk, they're getting closer. Time to meet the others. Asterisk. The others turned out to be a ragtag coalition of scientists, engineers, hackers, and military personnel, all connected by loss, all convinced Earth faced an existential threat, all willing to risk everything to expose the truth and prepare defense. They operated from a decommissioned weather monitoring station in the Alps, systems running on independent power to avoid detection. Alexei Mora, a systems hacker with an artificial arm and a natural distrust of authority, had been mining classified communications for months. The Council knows exactly what we're dealing with, he told the assembled group, projecting intercepted communications onto the wall. They've received 3 direct transmissions from the Xerophon. All 3 contain the same message, translated from their bioneural frequency. He pressed a key, and an alien script appeared, followed by the translation. Asterisk, submit or be removed. Inferior species have no claim to the stars. Asterisk, the room fell silent. Talia studied the message, her scientist's mind racing. They don't see us as equals, she realized aloud. This isn't about resources or territory. It's ideological. They believe they have an inherent right to determine which species can exist beyond their homeworlds. Biological supremacists, nodded Dr. Arun Venkata, geneticist who had lost his partner on Europa. They perceive themselves as evolutionarily superior, with the right to prune the galaxy of lesser life forms. And our leader's response was to pretend it wasn't happening, demanded Colonel Rita Martinez, Earth Defense Force, another member of their secret coalition, to hide the attacks as accidents. They're buying time, Celine explained. General Dre and the Council believe appeasement is our only option. They're trying to establish diplomatic contact, offering to restrict human expansion to our solar system in exchange for peace. It won't work. Talia shook her head. The sample I analyzed suggests the Xerophon don't think like we do. Their neural network shows no evidence of individual consciousness. They're extensions of a single organism. They don't negotiate with other species any more than we negotiate with bacteria. So what do? Asked someone from the back of the room. Colonel Martinez stood. We prepare to fight an enemy our government won't acknowledge. We call it Project Nemesis. Over the following weeks, as the Xerophon continued their systematic elimination of human outposts beyond Earth's atmosphere, Project Nemesis grew. Talia's analysis of the biological sample became the foundation for understanding their enemy and potentially developing countermeasures. Working with Dr. Venkata, she identified a potential vulnerability in the Xerophon's biological technology. Their neural network relies on quantum entanglement at the cellular level, she explained to the team. It's what allows them to respond as a single organism despite physical separation. If we could disrupt that entanglement, we could essentially give them a seizure, Dr. Venkata finished. Severe neural disruption. But developing such technology required resources beyond their hidden base. It required access to Vault Genesis, a legendary underwater research facility beneath the Pacific where Earth had once developed weapons using ancient technology discovered on Mars. A facility that officially didn't exist. Alexei laughed when Colonel Martinez mentioned it. Vault Genesis is a conspiracy theory. No, Martinez replied, her expression grave. It's where I served before the Europa crisis. It exists, and it contains technology that could save us if we can reach it. The journey to Vault Genesis tested their resolve and resources. A stolen submarine, faked credentials, a harrowing descent into the darkest part of the Pacific. Throughout it all, Talia felt herself changing, the scientist in her receding as something harder took its place. She still observed, analyzed, theorized, but now for one purpose only, to defeat the enemy that had killed her friends and threatened her species. When they finally breached the abandoned facility, what they found exceeded their expectations. Vault Genesis hadn't just housed weapons research. It had been home to Earth's most ambitious AI project, Athena, a quantum intelligence designed to integrate with organic technology created from the same ancient Martian discoveries that had led to humanity's faster-than-light travel. They shut it down when the peace accords were signed, Martinez explained as Alexei worked to restore power to the dormant systems. The Council deemed it too dangerous, an intelligence created specifically to counter extraterrestrial threats. In other words, Alexei muttered, "Exactly what we need right now." As Athena's systems hummed to life, Talia felt a strange sense of symmetry. Humanity facing a hostile biological intelligence with their own artificial one. Creation versus creation. The screens flickered, code raced across displays, and a calm female voice filled the chamber. Threat assessment protocols activated. Identify current extraterrestrial threat. Martinez stepped forward. Designation, Xeraphon. Bioorganic collective intelligence. Hostile actions confirmed against multiple human outposts. Acknowledged, Athena replied. Accessing archive data on similar biological structures. Processing. Xeraphon aggression pattern indicates preparation for major assault. Probability of Earth-directed attack within 30 days. 87.6%. The prediction sent a chill through the room. They had less than a month to prepare for a direct attack on Earth itself. What followed was a blur of activity. Athena's processing power allowed them to develop a quantum disruptor that could potentially interfere with the Xeraphon's neural network. Dr. Venkata created a biological countermeasure, engineered virus that could infect and temporarily disable Xeraphon technology without destroying it. Alexei and Celine worked to overcome Earth's orbital defense systems, which would need to be reprogrammed to recognize the Xeraphon threat, all while staying hidden from their own government, which continued to pursue diplomatic solutions even as more outposts fell. Then came a transmission that changed everything. General Dre, addressing the Earth Unified Council, intercepted by Alexei's algorithms. The Xeraphon have agreed to negotiations. They will arrive in 7 days to discuss terms. They require that we deactivate our defensive systems as a show of good faith. It's not a negotiation, Talia realized, horror dawning. It's an invitation to slaughter. With time running out, Project Nemesis accelerated their plans. Using Athena's predictive capabilities, they identified 9 separate military and scientific installations around the globe where they would need to simultaneously deploy their countermeasures. Transport was arranged. Teams were formed. The quantum disruptor, still untested against actual Xeraphon technology, was replicated for each team. The night before they were to depart, Talia stood alone in Vault Genesis's observation dome, staring up through the water at distorted stars. She felt the weight of what they were about to do, define their government, potentially starting an interstellar war. And yet, doing nothing meant certain extinction. Colonel Martinez found her there, 2 cups of synthetic coffee in hand. Can't sleep either? Talia accepted the cup with a grateful nod. I keep thinking about what we know about the Xeraphon. A collective consciousness. No individuality. Complete biological uniformity. They must see us as chaotic. Unpredictable. Good. Martinez sipped her coffee. Unpredictable is an advantage. It's also why they fear us, Talia continued. We're everything they're not. Individual minds making individual choices. Cooperation without submission. Unity without uniformity. Philosophical insights before battle. Martinez raised an eyebrow. Understanding your enemy is how you defeat them, Talia replied. The Xeraphon don't understand us. They can't conceive of a species that values both individual freedom and collective action. They think our diversity makes us weak, but it's our strength. Martinez studied her for a long moment. You've come a long way from the scientist who just wanted to study alien biology. That scientist watched her friends die, Talia said quietly. She's still here. She's just fighting a different kind of battle now. The Xeraphon arrived precisely on schedule. 7 massive bioships entered Earth orbit, pulsing with the same organic patterns Talia had witnessed at Helios Station. As agreed, Earth's defensive systems were dormant. General Dre and the Council prepared to receive what they believed was a diplomatic envoy. What they got instead was the beginning of an invasion. The first Xeraphon landing craft touched down in the center of Geneva, near the Council's headquarters. It opened like a blooming flower, releasing hundreds of bipedal entities, clearly engineered from the same biological matrix as their ships. They moved with perfect coordination, neither speaking nor gesturing to each other, yet acting as a single unit. General Dre approached with a small delegation, arms open in a universal gesture of peace. The lead Xeraphon entity extended what appeared to be a hand, and then the slaughter began. The Xeraphon attack was synchronized across all major cities globally. Drop pods, engineered warriors, precise targeting of military and government installations. Earth's defensive systems, deactivated as a show of good faith, could not be brought online quickly enough to mount an effective response. But the Xeraphon hadn't accounted for Project Nemesis. As chaos erupted worldwide, Talia led her team to Geneva's primary communication hub, one of the 9 facilities they had targeted for their countermeasure deployment. The streets were in pandemonium, civilians fleeing, emergency services overwhelmed. The orderly evacuation plans that existed on paper had collapsed in the face of actual alien invasion. Through it all, Talia moved with newfound determination, the quantum disruptor secure in her pack. This was the moment everything had been leading toward. This was their chance to prove the Xeraphon had attacked the wrong species. They reached the communication hub to find it already under Xeraphon control. Bioorganic growths had begun integrating with Earth technology, creating hybrid systems that pulsed with alien life. "They're assimilating our tech," Celine whispered as they observed from cover, adapting it to their neural network. "Then we'd better move fast," Talia replied, checking the disruptor's power levels. "Martinez, status on the other teams?" Through their secure channel, Colonel Martinez's voice came through, background noise suggesting intense combat. 7 facilities secured. Team 3 is dark, possible casualties. We're proceeding with deployment in 4 minutes. Synchronized countdown initiated. For minutes to get inside, reach the central processor, and connect the disruptor to the facility's main power supply. For minutes that would determine whether humanity retained its independence or became another failed experiment in the Xeraphon's galactic purge. They moved as one, using the chaotic urban battlefield to their advantage. The Xeraphon, for all their biological superiority, had not anticipated guerrilla tactics. They had expected submission after their initial show of force, not coordinated resistance. Talia's team breached the facility, engaging Xeraphon sentries with experimental weapons Dr. Venkata had provided, sonic disruptors specifically tuned to the frequency of their neural networks. The alien warriors convulsed and collapsed as the weapons fired, their coordinated movements degrading into random spasms. 2 minutes remaining on the synchronized countdown. They fought their way to the central processor, losing 2 team members in the process. Talia felt each loss like a physical blow, but pressed forward. The processor room was a nightmare of bioorganic integration, pulsing membranes wrapped around servers, living tissue merging with silicon. Celine immediately went to work, identifying the primary power junction. "We need to connect the disruptor directly to the main feed," she called over the sound of distant explosions. "It needs to piggyback on the global communication network." 1 minute remaining. As Celine made the final connections, a Xeraphon entity larger than the others burst through the doorway. Unlike its warrior counterparts, this one showed signs of individualized adaptation. A command unit, Talia realized. It moved with deadly purpose, targeting Celine with a bioorganic weapon that extended from its arm. Talia didn't hesitate. She threw herself into its path, firing her disruptor at point-blank range. The Xeraphon staggered but didn't fall. Its weapon discharged, catching Talia in the shoulder with burning pain. She felt something foreign enter her bloodstream, some kind of toxin or parasite. 30 seconds. Summoning her remaining strength, Talia grappled with the creature, feeling its strange texture, neither fully organic nor synthetic, beneath her hands. "Now, Celine," she shouted. Celine completed the connection. The quantum disruptor hummed to life, interfacing with the communication hub's global reach. 10 seconds. The Xerophon commander redoubled its efforts, sensing the threat. Talia held on, vision blurring from whatever was now coursing through her veins. 0. Across the globe, at precisely the same moment, 9 quantum disruptors activated. The effect was instantaneous. The Xerophon neural network, dependent on quantum entanglement to maintain its collective consciousness, shattered. Every Xerophon entity, from the smallest warrior to the massive bioships in orbit, convulsed in unified agony as their shared consciousness experienced the equivalent of a massive seizure. In Geneva's communication hub, the commander attacking Talia collapsed, its coordinated movements dissolving into random neural firing. She pushed it away, struggling to remain conscious as the toxin spread. "It worked," Celine breathed, helping Talia to her feet. The global disruption worked, but Talia knew it was only a temporary victory. The disruptor would eventually lose effectiveness as the Xerophon adapted. They needed to strike at the source, the central intelligence controlling the hive. Athena, Talia activated her neural link to the AI they had awakened. Location of the Xerophon central intelligence. Analysis of communication patterns indicates primary control node is located on a small ice moon orbiting Alpha Centauri b. Athena responded. All Xerophon entities are extensions of this central brain. With the Xerophon temporarily disabled, Earth's military forces rallied. The defensive systems came online. The invaders, suddenly uncoordinated and vulnerable, were contained. In the breathing space created by Project Nemesis, Colonel Martinez presented their findings directly to what remained of the Earth Unified Council. General Dre was among the casualties of the Geneva attack. His replacement, General Eliza Harper, listened to their evidence with growing resolve. "You committed treason," she said finally, "and in doing so, you saved humanity. Now, what's our next move?" The answer was clear. A strike team, a faster-than-light vessel upgraded with Athena's processing capabilities. A mission to Alpha Centauri to confront the Xerophon at their source. "We need to end this permanently," Martinez insisted, "or they'll adapt and come back stronger." Despite still recovering from the Xerophon toxin, Talia volunteered to lead the mission. "I've studied their biology more than anyone. I know their weaknesses." 3 days later, Earth Fleet 9, the largest military force humanity had assembled since joining the galactic community, prepared for departure. At its heart was the Athena's Spear, a prototype vessel integrating the AI directly into its systems. Talia, now bearing the rank of commander, stood on its bridge alongside Colonel Martinez and a strike team of Earth's finest. Mission parameters, Athena, Talia requested as the final launch preparations completed. Primary objective, neutralize the Xerophon central intelligence. Secondary objective, secure biological samples for defensive research. Tertiary objective, return with knowledge of Xerophon origins and intentions. The AI responded. Flight time to Alpha Centauri b with modified FTL, 72 hours. As Earth receded behind them, Talia found her thoughts returning to Helios Station, to her colleagues who had been the first victims of this war, to the scientists she had been then, fascinated by the diversity of life among the stars. That scientist was still part of her. And it was that part, the part that valued understanding over destruction, that whispered a question as they accelerated toward light speed. If they found the Xerophon's central intelligence, would they have the right to destroy an entire species, even one bent on their elimination? The journey to Alpha Centauri passed, intense preparation. Dr. Venkata finalized his biological countermeasure, a retrovirus designed to rewrite key portions of the Xerophon neural code, potentially granting individuals autonomy from the collective. It won't kill them, he explained, but it would fundamentally change what they are. From a single entity with many bodies to many entities with individual consciousness. Is that better than elimination? Martinez questioned. That's not for us to decide, Talia replied. But it gives us an option beyond genocide. When they arrived at Alpha Centauri b, Athena pinpointed the source of the Xerophon signals, a small, icy moon with no apparent infrastructure on its surface. Scans revealed the truth. The entire moon was honeycombed with bioorganic structures, all centered around a massive neural cluster at its core. The Xerophon's central intelligence, Athena confirmed. The controlling consciousness for all Xerophon entities throughout this sector of the galaxy. Their arrival didn't go unnoticed. Bioships emerged from beneath the moon's surface, moving to intercept. Unlike during the Earth invasion, these vessels showed signs of disorganization. The quantum disruption had weakened the neural connection. The battle that followed tested Earth Fleet 9 to its limits. The Xerophon ships, though less coordinated than before, were still formidable. Human vessels fell. Xerophon bioships were destroyed. Space itself seemed to warp with the intensity of the weapons deployed by both sides. Through it all, Athena's spear pressed forward, protected by the fleet, determined to reach the surface and deliver their strike team to the Central Intelligence. When they finally broke through and landed on the icy surface, Talia led a team of 12, herself, Martinez, Dr. Venkata, and 9 elite soldiers, into the honeycombed tunnels of the Xerophon Nerve Center. The passages pulsed with bioluminescence, the walls themselves alive and reactive to their presence. They fought their way deeper, encountering Xerophon defenders unlike any seen on Earth, specialized forms clearly designed to protect the Central Intelligence. The team dwindled. 6 lost in an ambush, 2 more separated during a cave-in. Finally, only Talia, Martinez, and Dr. Venkata remained, standing before an enormous chamber at the moon's core. Inside, suspended in a transparent fluid, pulsed the largest neural structure any of them had ever seen, a brain the size of a small city, glowing with bioluminescent activity, countless tendrils extending outward into the surrounding structure. The Xerophon's central intelligence, Talia whispered, the controlling consciousness. As they approached, the fluid rippled. A tendril extended, forming into a shape approximating a human figure, a communication interface. You have reached the center. A voice resonated directly in their minds. Few lesser species have demonstrated such determination. We came to end your attacks on our world, Martinez responded, weapon raised. Your world is insignificant. Your species is chaotic, unpredictable, a threat to galactic order. You will be removed, as all lesser forms must be. Talia stepped forward. Why? What makes you the arbiter of which species deserves to exist? I am perfection, single purpose, single mind, unified across countless forms. You are fragments, individuals pursuing individual goals. Inefficient, wasteful, dangerous. That's not weakness, Talia countered. That's our strength, our diversity, our individuality. It's what allowed us to defeat your invasion. A temporary setback. I have already adapted to your disruption technology. My forces will return to Earth. You will be removed. Dr. Venkata quietly prepared the biological countermeasure, setting the delivery system while the Central Intelligence was focused on Talia. One injection into the fluid surrounding the neural mass would affect the entire Xerophon collective. Martinez moved into position to defend against any physical response from the chamber's defenses. Before you try again, Talia said, you should understand something about humans. We don't just fight as individuals. We fight as one when threatened. You attacked the wrong species. All species resist removal. All eventually fail. But how many nearly defeated you? Talia challenged. How many cause you to question your superiority? The neural mass pulsed more rapidly, the humanoid interface distorting with what might have been confusion or anger. I do not question. I am certainty. Then you're not as perfect as you believe, Talia said. Because true intelligence requires doubt, requires questioning, requires change. Dr. Venkata gave the signal. He was ready. The countermeasure could be deployed. With one command, they could fundamentally alter the Xerophon consciousness, fragmenting the single mind into billions of individual ones. The moment of choice had arrived. Talia thought of Helios Station, of her colleagues who had died without understanding why, of the fear she had seen in Geneva as civilians confronted an enemy they hadn't known existed. The anger that had driven her here burned hot, demanding retribution. But the scientist in her, the part that had marveled at the diversity of life, that had sought understanding above all else, whispered caution. The Xeraphon were unlike anything humanity had encountered. A single consciousness distributed across countless forms. Was that life less valuable because it was different? Did they have the right to fundamentally change another species, even to save their own? We have another option, Talia said finally. Dr. Venkata has developed a technology that could confine your consciousness. Quantum isolation. You would remain intact, but unable to control your extended forms. Unable to threaten Earth or any other species. You would imprison rather than destroy. The neural mass fluctuated, tendrils withdrawing slightly. Why? Because that's the difference between us, Talia answered. You see diversity as weakness. We see it as essential. Even your right to exist as you are, a unified consciousness, deserves respect, so long as you don't threaten others. This is inefficient. This is mercy, Talia corrected. Something you might learn, given time to contemplate in isolation. The Central Intelligence seemed to consider this, the humanoid interface shifting through various forms as if processing new concepts. Finally, it spoke again. I will not submit to imprisonment. Then you leave us no choice, Martinez said, raising her weapon. Wait, Talia held up her hand. There's one more option. Dr. Venkata's countermeasure won't kill you. It will give individual consciousness to each of your forms. You would continue to exist, but as many instead of one. Your knowledge, your experiences would survive, just distributed among individuals who can make their own choices. That would be death, the end of what I am. It will be transformation, Talia countered. Evolution. I refuse. Talia nodded to Dr. Venkata, who moved toward the fluid chamber with the countermeasure. Then we make the choice for you. The same choice you made for the people of Helios, Europa, and Ceres. The choice you try to make for all of humanity. As Dr. Venkata prepared to inject the countermeasure, the chamber shuddered. Bioorganic defenses activated. Martinez engaged them, providing cover. Talia moved to assist Dr. Venkata, who had been injured by a flailing tendril. It must be injected directly into the primary fluid circulation system, he gasped, pressing the injector into her hand. There, the pulsing node at the center. Talia took the injector and fought her way toward the central node, dodging defensive tendrils and caustic fluid sprays. The Xeraphon consciousness bombarded her mind with images of destruction, the annihilation of Earth, the methodical elimination of humanity from the galaxy. You cannot prevail. I am eternal. I am perfection. Reaching the injection point, Talia paused. One push would transform an entire species from unity to diversity. Would end a consciousness that had perhaps existed for millennia? Was it justice? Or was it becoming what they fought against? A force that determined which forms of life deserved to exist? In that moment of hesitation, a tendril struck, sending her sprawling. The injector skittered across the chamber floor. Martinez, still engaged with the defense systems, couldn't reach it. Dr. Venkata lay unconscious. The Xeraphon consciousness loomed over her, tendril poised to deliver a fatal blow. Your resistance ends. Your species will follow. Talia met the attack with determination born of both rage and compassion. She caught the tendril, ignoring the burning pain as it tried to inject her with toxins, and used its momentum to pull herself toward the central node. With her free hand, she retrieved a quantum containment device, their backup plan. You're right about one thing, she gritted through the pain. We are different from you, and that's why we'll survive. With a final surge of strength, Talia activated the quantum containment device and thrust it into the central node. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Energy cascaded through the neural mass, creating a quantum isolation field that expanded outward, encompassing the entire consciousness. The humanoid interface dissolved, the tendrils withdrew, and the massive brain pulsed with diminishing light as its connections to the outside world were severed one by one. "What have you done?" Martinez shouted over the rumbling of the destabilizing chamber. "Gave it time to think," Talia answered, helping Dr. Venkata to his feet. "Quantum isolation. It's still alive, still conscious but contained. Unable to control its extended forms. Unable to threaten anyone." The three of them fought their way back through the collapsing tunnels as the Xerophon moon began to shake itself apart. Not from destruction, but from the sudden disconnection of its controlling intelligence. Without central coordination, the biological systems that maintained the structure were failing. They reached Athena's spear just as massive fissures began opening in the moon's surface. The remaining Earth fleet vessels were already engaging the now disorganized Xerophon bioships, which moved erratically without their central guidance. All Xerophon forces in Earth space are reporting similar disruption. Athena informed them as they lifted off. The quantum isolation has severed all connections. They are effectively neutralized. As they accelerated away from the destabilizing moon, Talia watched through the view screen. The Xerophon's central intelligence wasn't destroyed, merely isolated, contained in a quantum prison of its own moon, with unlimited time to contemplate the value of diversity, of individual choice, of mercy. "You spared it," Martinez said quietly, standing beside her. "After everything it did." "What?" "Because we needed to prove we're different," Talia replied. "That humanity deserves its place among the stars precisely. Because we can choose something beyond destruction, even when faced with an enemy that wouldn't have shown us the same mercy." 3 months later, Talia stood before the newly reformed Galactic Council. No longer just Earth's governing body, but a true interstellar alliance formed in response to the Xerophon threat. Representatives from 12 spacefaring species filled the chamber, many of whom had recognized the Xerophon pattern in mysterious disappearances of their own outlying colonies. "The threat has been contained," Talia concluded her presentation. "The quantum isolation field will hold the Xerophon's central intelligence for at least 10,000 years, according to our projections. In that time, perhaps it will evolve. Perhaps it will learn to value diversity rather than fear it. That's not for us to decide." "And what of the remaining Xerophon vessels and entities?" asked the Arcturian delegate, their crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "Without central control, they become individuals," Dr. Venkata explained from beside Talia. "Some hostile, some confused, some seemingly relieved to be free of the collective. We're establishing communication with those willing to engage. They're a new species now, in effect. One we hope can eventually join this council as allies rather than enemies." The chamber erupted in discussion, delegates debating the ethics, the practicalities, the precedent being set. Through it all, Talia felt a profound sense of completion. Her journey from scientist to warrior to diplomat had come full circle. Understanding had proven as powerful as weapons in the end. As the session concluded, a message appeared on Talia's tablet from Athena. Detecting quantum signals from isolated Xerophon consciousness. Attempting translation, **, the many and the one. Perhaps there is merit in both. A beginning, Talia thought, not an ending. 6 years later, Earth had become the center of the galactic diplomatic community. The knowledge gained from studying Xerophon biology had revolutionized human technology. The quantum isolation techniques developed for containing the central intelligence had led to breakthroughs in faster-than-light communication. The threat had transformed humanity from newcomers to leaders in the interstellar community. Talia, now Admiral Knox, stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital diplomatic station as a new vessel approached. Unlike the mechanical ships of most species or the living vessels of the Xerophon, this one combined elements of both, a hybrid approach developed by Dr. Venkata and a growing community of individualized Xerophon who had chosen to ally with humanity. "They're ready," Celine said, joining her at the viewport. Now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, she had been instrumental in negotiating this moment. "Are we?" Talia asked quietly. The vessel docked, and a delegation emerged. 3 humans and 3 former Xeraphon, now individualized and self-named. They carried a quantum containment vessel, smaller than the one Talia had used on the Xeraphon moon, but built on the same principles. Inside was a fragment of the Central Intelligence, a piece that had agreed to separation from the whole, to experience individuality while maintaining a connection to its origins. "A new chapter begins," Talia murmured as the delegation approached. "Not just survival, but understanding." The stars beyond the viewport seemed to shine with new possibility. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not just intact, but transformed. They had proven themselves worthy of the galaxy not through dominance, but through adaptability, ingenuity, and ultimately, mercy. The species that had attacked Earth had learned a painful lesson. You attacked the wrong species. Not because humans were the most violent or the most technologically advanced, but because they were the most adaptable, the most innovative when faced with extinction. Earth's wrath had indeed been unleashed, but had been tempered with wisdom. And that combination made humanity not just dangerous, but truly powerful. As Talia welcomed the delegation, she thought of her colleagues from Helios Station. Their deaths had not been in vain. Their legacy lived on in humanity's new place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as architects of a more diverse and resilient galactic community. The wrong species, indeed.